Welcome to the tutorials for the fiscal year 2016 monthly reporting process. There are 4 tutorials to cover this topic: the Direct tab, the New Demographics tab, the Indirect tab, and error checking. This video will be focusing on the New Demographics tab. If you need to watch a separate section, click on that section to be taken to the video for it. This section is meant as a continuation of the Direct tab, so you will not be able to move on any further until you have completed that tab. The New Demographics tab is where you will enter the information collected from the demographics cards that you hand out at each lesson. Remember, demographics should never be collected from those under 18. As you can see, any direct intervention you entered that had one or more participants will have automatically copied over to columns A through F. As this tab is dealing with new demographics, only interventions that have participants will be visible. If you taught a lesson with only contacts, a grayed out row will show in its place, as no one in that lesson is considered a new demographic. You will notice 4 different colored cells in this tab. A green cell signals a field that is pre-populated with information. The first 6 columns will be this color, as they pre-populate from the Direct tab. The only time you will alter green cells is in columns L through AO when working with adults at a school site. A gray cell, like in the previous tab, indicates a field that you cannot fill out. A blue cell, like in the previous tab, indicates a field that you can fill out. An orange cell indicates a calculation. You will not do anything with these cells as they are locked. The next 4 columns, columns H through K, are used by AZNN to determine how much of the new audience being reached is receiving SNAP benefits. These columns are based on the SNAP status of the participants that you taught in the intervention, not the total number of people altogether. Remember, this tab itself is only concerned with new demographics, so no information should be entered for contacts. For instance, if you taught a lesson with 5 contacts and 2 participants, then you would fill out the corresponding columns with information for those 2 participants and not the 5 contacts. Column H, SNAP Participants School Sites, is used to document youth at a school site receiving SNAP benefits. If your intervention was not at a school site, this column will be grayed out, indicating you do not enter information there. If working with youth at a school site, you will not need to enter any information, as this column will contain pre-populated data from the National School Lunch Program. Contact your RC if it doesn't. Column I, SNAP Participants Additional Sites, is used to document adults at a school site or adults or youth at a non-school site. If working with youth at a school site, you will not enter anything in this column. If working with adults at a school site, you will need to enter the number of participants in the intervention that are receiving SNAP benefits. If working at a non-school site, enter the number of adult or youth participants that are receiving SNAP benefits. There must be a number in this column when working with adults at a school site or either age group at a non-school site. If no participants receiving SNAP are recorded, enter a 0. Column J, Other Participants, is used to document youth or adult participants that are not receiving SNAP benefits. This column will automatically calculate the number of other participants by subtracting the numbers from columns H and I from the number in column F, which was entered in the Direct tab. If working with adults at a school site, a negative number may show in this column. This happens because of the pre-populated data keyed in column H and will be amended by AZNN later on in the process. This number should not be negative for any case other than adults at a school site. If it is, you may have made a mistake that will need to be amended. Column K, SNAP-Ed participants total, is a check figure that totals columns H, I, and J. This number will always be correct because of the formula in column J and will match the number in column F that was entered in the previous tab. For the participant age and gender columns, you will need to enter the demographic information for each of the participants at the lesson. Remember, in this case, participant refers to those people who are receiving SNAP-Ed for the first time. If your intervention was with ages 0 to 4, you will need to use the Youth Demographic Estimation tool to estimate the demographic numbers for that intervention. Click on the link to be taken to that tutorial. If working with youth at a school site, you will not need to enter any information as it will pre-populate for you. If it doesn't, contact your RC. If working with adults at a school site, you will need to key over the information that has pre-populated with the information collected from demographics cards. When working with a non-school site, you will need to fill out this information with what was collected on demographics cards. If your demographics numbers add up to be more or less than the number in column F that was entered in the previous tab, you will see the box in column T turn red. This signifies that your numbers do not match and you have an error somewhere. After entering age and gender, enter in the participant race and ethnicity data in columns U through AN. These columns have the same rules as the age and gender columns. If working with youth at a school site, nothing will need to be done. If working with adults at a school site, you will need to key over the information that has pre-populated with the information collected from demographics cards. When working with a non-school site, you will need to fill out this information with what was collected on demographics cards. If your demographics numbers add up to be more or less than the number in column F that you entered in the previous tab, you will see the box in column AO turn red. This signifies that your numbers do not match and you have an error somewhere. Complete the tab for the remaining interventions. When finished, it should look something like this example. This concludes the tutorial for the new Demographics tab. If you have any questions, contact your RC or the accounting office.